In the kitchen's soft light, her voice was a polished blade. Not loud, but cutting. "I don't have to make you happy," Lorraine said, her arms crossed, as if stating the most obvious thing in the world. The words hung in the air, a finality that made my stomach knot. For a second I thought I'd misheard, that this was some passing remark born of frustration. But looking at her face, I knew. She meant it. The caring was gone, replaced by a cold indifference that chilled me to the bone. My throat went dry. The arguments I wanted to make, the years of sacrifice I'd made, all died on my tongue. I had always been the one to give, to put her first, to carry the weight of our relationship. I had planned trips, cooked her favorite meals, and bought gifts just to see her smile. I had believed that was what love was, giving everything, even when it was hard. Standing there, I realized it had never been a partnership. I had been doing all the work, and she had taken it all for granted. The strange, creeping sensation of heartbreak and clarity washed over me. This was my moment of awakening. I simply nodded, the silence deafening, and let her words sink in. A new, dangerous thought surfaced. What if I stopped? What if, for once, I stopped being the one who cared more? That night, I barely slept. Lorraine's words replayed in my mind like a broken record, but they no longer felt like a wound. They felt like a key, unlocking a door I'd been afraid to open. Lying next to her as she scrolled through her phone, I felt a shift. I had spent years bending backward, believing that my endless love would eventually be returned. Now, I wondered what would happen if I just let go. The next morning, I broke our routine. No coffee, no forehead kiss. The alarm blared until she finally silenced it herself. She shuffled into the kitchen, expecting her coffee, and came back with a puzzled look. "You forgot my coffee," she said, more a statement than a question. I feigned a yawn. Guess I did. My deviation from the norm threw her off balance. She scoffed and went to make her own coffee, the sound of slamming cabinets a symphony of her irritation. It was a small act, but it confirmed my suspicions. My efforts had been invisible to her, and she only noticed their absence. The coffee, the planned date nights, the groceries, the filled-in gas tank, all of it. I had been the glue, and she hadn't even realized it. At work, a new focus consumed me. The burden of my marriage, which had drained me for years, was gone. My colleagues noticed the change. "You seem different," one said, and they were right. I was lighter. That evening, I came home and gave her a simple nod from across the room, then sat on the couch and flipped through the TV channels. Lorraine, expecting me to ask about her day, waited. The silence stretched until she broke it. "You're not going to ask about my day?" she finally said. "Figured you'd tell me if you wanted to," I replied with a shrug. The confusion on her face was almost amusing. She was finally realizing the doing husband she had taken for granted wasn't there anymore. She asked if I was mad. I wasn't. I was just done. She had never asked me that before, not when I was upset or hurt. She was only noticing now because my behavior no longer served her. I chuckled softly and shook my head. Nope. When she realized she wasn't getting the reaction she wanted, she grabbed her phone, curling up on the opposite side of the couch. For the first time in years, I felt absolutely nothing. I was free. Over the next few weeks, the quiet storm I felt inside began to manifest in our home. The silence was not tense, it was just empty. I stopped initiating conversations and planning our nights. The space between us became impossible to ignore. At first, Lorraine seemed indifferent, but I saw the subtle signs. The way her eyes flickered toward me when she thought I wasn't looking, the hesitation in her voice before she spoke. She was feeling the emptiness I had been living in for years. One night, sitting across from her on the couch, she broke the silence again. "You've been weird lately," she said. I didn't look up from my phone. "Yeah." She shifted uncomfortably. "You don't talk to me like you used to." I almost laughed. Maybe I got tired of talking to someone who wasn't listening. She flinched. "That's not fair. Isn't it?" I turned to her. For a fleeting second, I saw guilt, but she buried it. She couldn't understand why I was acting this way because she couldn't see past her own needs. I explained that I didn't want anything from her. And when she asked again why I was acting like this, I told her, maybe I don't care. I saw my words hit her, but she still didn't apologize or ask how I felt. She just sat there, trying to figure out how to get things back to the way they were. But they weren't going back. Days turned into weeks, and our silence became deafening. It wasn't the silence of a fight, but the quiet of two people who had simply stopped trying. The truth was, I didn't mind it. I was finally focusing on myself. I started going to the gym, stopped checking in with her throughout the day, and made dinner for myself. I started saying no to her last-minute plans and errands. Lorraine didn't know how to handle it. The first real sign of trouble came when I went for a morning run without telling her, something I never used to do. When I returned, she asked, "Since when do you run in the mornings?" I shrugged. "Started last week." "It would have been nice if you told me." I raised an eyebrow. "Why? I didn't think you cared." That shut her up. She was used to me being predictable, and my sudden independence was a threat to her comfort. The breaking point arrived on a Sunday, when we were supposed to go to a family barbecue. Lorraine had assumed I would go, as I always had, but I had other plans. When she asked if I was ready, I simply said, "For what?" "For my sister's barbecue," she said, exasperated. "I told you about it." "Yeah, but you never asked if I wanted to go," I replied, not looking up from my book. The room fell silent. "You always come with me," she said after a moment. "Not anymore," I said calmly. "I don't actually enjoy these gatherings. I go because you expect me to, and I've decided to stop doing things just because I feel obligated." The first real crack appeared in her confidence. She had always relied on me to carry the weight of our relationship, and now that I was putting it down, she was floundering. She stormed out, but I didn't chase her. That night, she came home, quiet and subdued. She accused me of not checking on her, and when I turned her words back on her, asking if she ever checked on me, she hesitated. She was finally realizing what it felt like to be left in the dark. She tried to make small talk, but I saw through it. I asked her point blank why she cared now, and she had no answer. She was scared, not of losing me, but of losing the comfortable version of me she had always taken for granted. Over the next few weeks, Lorraine started trying harder. She cooked dinner, left little notes, and even suggested we go out. But it was too late. I wasn't angry or sad, I was just done. I wasn't playing the role of the devoted husband anymore, and she was scrambling to fill the void. I saw it in the little things. The way she finally noticed we were out of groceries. The way she started paying attention to the temperature in the house. One night, I was in the garage, and she came out, leaning against the doorway. "Do you even want to be around me anymore?" she asked, her voice soft and uncertain. I paused, then looked at her. "Do you want the truth?" I asked. "I don't know." Her face crumpled. I explained that this change didn't happen overnight. It was the result of years of me trying and her not noticing. And now, she was scared. She was scared of losing the version of me she had always relied on.